Without wasting your time, we are going to share top 5 best pressurized growler. The product links are in the description and in first comment. The number 5 on the list is Kegsmiths. Kegsmiths, with a company name like Kegsmiths, you know they're a competent maker of kegging materials. Thought as a pressurized beer growler, it still looks like a corny keg. Easy to fill, easy to clean, and you can't go wrong with stainless steel. Though you'll see some other similar looking keg growlers on this page. Kegsmiths has way fewer quality of manufacturing complaints. Stop using growlers. This mini keg from Kegsmith is the only way to buy beer from local breweries to take home with you. With a growler you have to drink the beer that day before it goes flat. With Kegsmith and the CO2, I have poured beers up to 5 days later that was still fresh and not flat. Show up to the brewery with the 128 ounces mini keg. It's marked on the bottom with 128 ounces, making it legal to purchase beer and transport in California, along with the sealable cap included. The brewery fills it 128 ounces equals 2 growlers, 8 pints, and tags the mini keg with a paper tag. Because Kegsmith is not a brewery themselves, it's legal to fill the mini keg. Breweries cannot fill other breweries' containers, but they can fill Kegsmiths. I have 4 local breweries near me. I have not even been questioned or refused from them. They just always talk how cool the mini keg is. Get home, remove cap, screw on top, tap with foam blocker and tab on mini keg. Turn the flow regulator to 8 to 10 psi and pull the tap. Beer will now be flowing. When you are done for the night, simply turn the regulator off. Leave the mini keg pressurized to preserve the beer and prevent it from going flat. Growlers cannot do that. Place the mini keg in the fridge to keep the beer cold. It's the perfect solution for transporting beer, even wine and other beverages that need to be carbonated, keeping it cold and bringing enough for everyone to enjoy. Your buddies will be impressed on easy and functional it is, and you will love the convenience of just one mini keg and easy flow of beer a lot more than legging 2 glass growers that break if dropped, not stay cold and let the beer go flat. The number 4 on the list is Growlerwerks. Growlerwerks, I already own a 128 ounces growler with a really nice durable handle in the 128 ounces size. I got it from Ray. There was an extra accessory called a keg top. I bought it along with the 12-gram CO2 cartridges. Since the products nor my experiences with both companies were not perfect, I feel I can report on this in a unique way. I'm not comparing apples to oranges. I'm comparing full-sized apples to really shiny, tiny-sized apples. Growlerwerks growler has a built-in CO2 top and a gauge to help dial in the correct pressure to serve up your beverages. They also have a clear section where you can see the level of liquid inside instead of simply guessing. The spout pours out with a nice force. It's impressive to look at. It's lightweight and I love the shape and the vintage look. It came beautifully and safely packaged. There is no way it can get damaged in shipping. There is nothing I don't find pleasing to the eye about my Growlerwerks. The cons are that the generous amount of printed material that arrives with the unit doesn't say much, doesn't instruct very well, and is hard to see. Except for the universal symbol that is usually on the knobs of Coleman gas stoves and things like that, I wouldn't have known how to install the CO2 cartridge or be confident about what I was doing. It all turned out to be extremely easy, although I really do worry about wearing out the threads on the cap since you never feel a definite stopping point. I try to be careful not to over-tighten it. The 8-gram cartridge was only good for one single use plus running water through it, which you must do. You really don't have a way to measure how much gas is left in the tiny cartridge. Customer service never responded to my inquiry. I had concerns about trying the 12 grams cartridge in it, and I felt the directions were unclear about whether or not I would need an adapter to use my 12-gram cartridges. It's been nearly 2 weeks. They didn't bother to address my email. The other con is that it dripped quite a bit from the spout at first. I put a towel under it to catch it. My other growler drips all the time, so I was kind of expecting it. My other growler with the keg top is huge. It has a wonderful handle and a more masculine appearance, if you will. It's really durable with a powder coat finish and 12 grams cartridges are more easily gotten at local stores than are the 8 grams. The cons are that it broke the very first time I used it. It was difficult at the campsite to keep up with the CO2 cartridge and filling adapter, but I managed not to lose it. Although it's said I only had to give the gas once, I had to constantly squirt gas in. The stem inside the nozzle on the inlet on the cap broke on my third time putting in more gas. It leaked constantly, but I have to say I was so happy with that growler until the plastic on the clamp that keeps the caps on broke off too. Customer service was so rude and passive-aggressive. They didn't believe me that it broke even though I sent them a receipt of how I had ordered replacement parts for it. I had kept the broken piece for a while they were considering what to do, but by the time they asked me for a photo of the broken piece, I had lost it. Needless to say, customer service at both places kind of sucks. Customer service at Ray is wonderful, but I chose to report my bad experience to that company so that they could have the chance to improve the quality of their plastics. I eventually had to replace my 128 ounces growler from Ray because of all the breaking plastic things. Even though customer service was hella rude and acknowledged nothing, apologized for nothing, they did send me replacement parts for the cap as well as some CO2 cartridges and a little clip to help the hose from sagging and thus curb excess dripping. The number 3 on the list is Trailkeg. Trailkeg, I bought a less expensive growler from a competitor for around $90 and am now very sorry I did. We only had it for about a year and refilled it probably less than 6 times. And the poor spout broke. It is not replaceable. The whole thing is useless now. This growler has lots of easy to replace parts and it is easy to clean. The spout regulator handle etc. all come apart and are much better made than the competitor and are of a much higher quality material. I wish I had bought this one first. This is a great product and we are enjoying it a great deal. Keeps beer cold and full of zip for as long as we like. I am actually not a big beer drinker. Hubby is the beer snob. But he is kind and will save. The ones I like so often are beers in the growler are sometimes sitting around for a week or two. The last pour is as good as the first. Excellent product. Picked this up mainly for nitro coffee. The growler seems to be very well made and I'm particularly impressed with the lid. I really like the fact that the connectors for the faucet and the regulator are standard quick connects. Also happy that I can use a stout faucet with this growler. I contacted the company to ask a few questions before buying and was very impressed with their customer service. They responded very quickly and were very helpful and knowledgeable. If there's one caveat that I've found, it's the fact that you have to use screw-on gas chargers, which is really only a problem if you're like me and using it for nitro coffee. That necessitated me getting a nitrogen cylinder from Irgas, a tank regulator, and the adapter hose from Trailkeg to hook it all up. Once I got everything I needed, setup was a breeze and I had some pretty good success pouring a cup. The number 2 on the list is Homecraft. Homecraft, this is my second growler tap. My first was from another company and it failed after just a few uses, but it was enough to get me hooked. This is a great way to enjoy a growler long after the trip to the taproom. So glad I tried this unit. It seems to be of higher quality. It has metal construction and an insulated growler. Mine had a small problem with the cap when I received it, but after a short email exchange with Nostalgia's customer support I was sent a replacement free of charge. Great customer support. The O-ring is a little tight and it takes some torque to fully seat the cap. When fully seated, the metal cap contacts the lip of the growler and the O-ring is no longer visible. Maybe some of the people with problems holding pressure were not getting the cap completely seated. Can't say for sure, but my regulator works fine and it holds pressure well. There is a little vent on the side of the regulator and you do lose some CO2 installing the cartridge, but my experience is that there's still plenty left to keep the growler charged and empty it. At $80 for the entire kit, I think it's the best deal out there. Great vessel. However, the pressure regulator didn't work as stated in adder instructions. When you screw in the CO2 canister, it pricks the seal before fully seated, so quite a bit is lost there. Then you are supposed to only turn the regulator on long enough to pressurize the growler to the setting you want and then turn back off until needed. drew off 2 whole glasses before zero pressure. This happened every time with the 3 canisters included. Seams should be able to seat the canister and then use the valve to pierce the seal after it is seated. No matter how fast you screw the canister on, it's never fast enough to keep from losing a significant amount of the pressure in the CO2 canister. Such a disappointment, but again a fantastic growler vessel. The number 1 on the list is Growlerwerks ukeg. Growlerwerks ukeg, having been a homebrewer, has made using this mini keg a lot easier to understand and utilize. So far so good. Prepping for first use is simple if you follow the directions. The 1-gallon size took nearly 20 minutes to fill at my local brewpub, so relax and have a beer while you wait. Played with the dial a bit and got my beer, Festbier, dialed up to 10 psi, which was the recommended pressure in the instruction booklet. The box was not damaged, everything was well packaged in the Growlerwerks box as shown in the pictures, and setup was easy. I would caution purchasers to be aware that there are silica gel packs in the growler, so be sure to remove them immediately and dispose of properly. The growler maintained a desired pressure overnight, so no issues with that. Cleaning might trip novices up. Make sure you follow the directions exactly and you should have no issues whatsoever.